Okay. Okay, I want to thank you for getting back here with the Santa Barbara Real Estate Investment Association and Expo 6. Is there anybody in here that doesn't know what this is all about? Is there anybody that knows, anybody in here that knows what it is about? Well, you know, they don't know this is the Santa Barbara Real Estate Investment Association. In any case, please take your seats, come on back here, because we're going to run out of time, and we want to get Reggie up here and get this thing rolling. Otherwise, what will happen is we'll have Fez Parker or staff come in here and say, okay, everybody got to leave, let's clear off the tables, we've got the next shift coming in here. So please come on back over and sit down. And I think we might have one more thing at the very end of the day here with Brad coming back up. Is Brad here? Mm-hmm. Nope. Okay, so he might be here after Reggie. So Reggie, we're good for you. So let's give Reggie a hand here.
Thank you. Here I come.
Very good. And this guy actually went out and bought a Tesla.
I didn't do it on my own.
He's a
You
man
made
in
me
my
do
heart.
it.
You're good.
Sure did. And I'm glad I did too. Hi everybody. Oh, we got people dressed like seats, huh? It's a funny way to dress. You know, I'm fortunate to be here. Linda invited me over, and my girlfriend is here from Florida. So I said, well, how nice. Take a trip up the coast in the car that Dan made me drive, made me buy. And you know, I had an Audi at the time, and I was telling Dan, it was a couple of years ago, I was going to buy another car. And so I was telling me about this thing called a Tesla. I didn't know anything about that. And I'm asking questions. He says, "What, Reggie, look, when you get back to LA, go to Santa Monica and test drive one." I did. That was bait. 30 days later, I have one in my garage.
So nice.
Fantastic.
Yes, yes.
Do you have the auto drive?
No, they didn't come up with those at that time.
Well, don't they download the software?
Yeah, but you have to have some real stuff in the car that goes along with the software. I'll wait. 2017, they're coming up with another one, and it's an affordable one. You have a choice between a Tesla or a Toyota. How about that? All right, so you know, we get to drive. So you got me started. We fly all over the country, and we're able to teach people about how to make a tremendous amount of money and change their lives. $30,000 flips in their own backyard, and they're all over the country. And so some people will tell me, well, in Podunk, Iowa, but our whole house is $30,000. How are you going to make 30? If you get in your car, and it doesn't have to be a Tesla, and you drive 15 minutes outside of that area, you'll find properties there that you can buy, and you can make yourself $30,000 flips with vacant, distressed, abandoned properties. And that's what I'm going to talk to you about today. Now, some of the profits that we talk about are going to be some pretty strong, very significant profits. I want to show you also how you can create a $15,000 a month income with vacant, distressed, abandoned properties. I'm just wondering, is anyone interested in that? Please show me your hands. Okay. Okay, you guys were, how about 20? Okay. We'll talk about how to make a lot of money with these types of properties. I've been doing it for about 30 years now. When I get through with a seminar, sometimes people come up to me and they'll say, Reggie, I understand all about these vacant, distressed, abandoned properties. They're just like a foreclosure, right? No, they're not like a foreclosure. Although foreclosures will feed this market and feed it very strongly. But there's a big difference. You see, with a foreclosure, you may have a family that's been living in this home for 10, 12, 15 years. And they have certain emotional experiences in that home. They've had their Thanksgiving dinner, Christmas dinner. They married their daughter off in that home. The dog's had a couple litters of puppies in that home. He's had a Super Bowl parties in that home. And so when you have these kinds of emotional events connected to your home, it creates an emotional attachment. And so when you go up and knock on the door of a person in foreclosure, say, hey, I got a great idea, can get you out of the foreclosure situation, and it puts a little money in my pocket. You know what they want to do? They want to squeeze every drop of equity that they can out of that foreclosure because of the emotional attachment. What we want is a property that has no emotional attachment. Instead, it has a headache. The owner has a headache. And so those owners, and that's what we're talking about, vacant, distressed, abandoned properties owned by motivated owners. And so those owners would love to monetize that property. It's been sitting there vacant for the longest, costing them money. They have to pay a mortgage every single month. If they own it free and clear, they still have taxes and insurance that they have to pay. Speaking of insurance, do you realize that the profits are extremely high with these properties? A couple of reasons. The nature of an abandoned property and the mindset of the person who walks away from it. The nature of the property. When a person vacates a property and it stays vacant for over 30 days, the insurance company gets wind of it. They cancel the insurance. Now that person's sitting there with a vacant property with no insurance. Many of these properties are owned free and clear. If you can imagine the liability that that person has with that property sitting there, where homeless people can go in and out, they can do all kinds of things, maybe a mattress drop, and the place goes up in smoke. They have trouble sleeping at night because they know they don't have insurance on that property. The mindset of a person who walks away from the property. They want to generate income on that property, but they know that they have to spend some money that they don't have to fix that property up. And so what they don't know is that with my students, as they come about these types of properties, we educate these people and we let them know, first of all, about the liability, the tremendous liability of a property with no insurance on it. And then we can show them how to monetize that property. And we also show them that even though no lender in his right mind is going to lend on that property, he can become the lender. And we call that owner financing, where the owner becomes the bank. You don't have to have money, you don't have to have credit, you don't even need a job. What you need is a knowledge of how to write the contract up. And I'm just curious, has anyone in this room ever received owner financing on a deal? No one. Oh, a couple. Very good. Did it feel good?
Yeah.
You know it does, because you don't even have to go and qualify for a loan. They're not opening up your can of worms to see what a bad person you are financially. He doesn't care. And so therefore, they would love to generate some money on this property, so they might have called all the realtors and said, Mr. Realtor, if you come and list my property for me and sell it, I'll pay you a nice commission. How many realtors in the room? Promise not to pick on you. You're pretty far away from you. It'd be kind of hard anyway. But you know, when you get a call like that, most of the realtors that I know, they jump in that car and they'll break every speed limit in the city to get over to that property. But when they get there, their jaw drops a little bit because the property needs some degree of work. And so now, as a realtor, you're going to have to educate that owner and let him know, yes, you're going to have to put some money into this property. Fix the property up. Fix it up first. Give me a call back after it's fixed up, and I'll list it, I'll sell it, and your headache will be over. Ta-da! Well, that's a problem for the owner of that property. And I'll tell you why. Even though he may own it free and clear. 30 to 40% of properties in America are owned still free and clear. But he does not have enough money to fix that property up. And so another 30 days goes around and another mortgage is going to have to be paid. So what you're going to find this afternoon, that with these types of properties, vacant, distressed, abandoned properties, they lend themselves so very well to high profits and also to owner financing. And we'll talk about both those elements as we move forward. Before I go any further, I want to give you my very short bio. I promise to keep it very short because I got a lot of information that I want to share with you. And it's getting a little warm up here. Does anyone mind if I take my jacket off? Okay. Has anyone got any burlesque music? Come on, louder, louder. All right, enough fun. I was born and raised in Los Angeles, California. I was raised by a single mom, and she did a good job, but she needed help. So I did a really dumb thing when I was 17 years old. I dropped out of high school. I was in the 11th grade. I dropped out to get myself a job to bring some money into the household, and I ended up getting several dead-end jobs. I worked as a service station attendant. I worked as a machinist. I worked as a mechanic. All kinds of dead-end jobs, and I didn't care how hard I had to work. as long as I can make a good, honest paycheck at the end of that pay period, bring it home to Mom, my single mother, so that she can afford to keep us for another month. And then I got a really lucky break right here in Los Angeles. I'm born in Los Angeles, California. I got a job at the local phone company. Pacific Bell is who they were at that time. And you know, I kind of got in under the radar. They didn't know I hadn't graduated from high school. And I was not talking. They were not going to hear that from me. So I stayed on that job for 18 years, worked myself up to making $3,000 a month. Rupee, huh? Wow. I was in such trouble, financial trouble. It just was not enough money. I couldn't pay my bills. I had a car that was smoking and rattling and breaking down on me every other day, putting my job in jeopardy. I was ready for a change, a financial change. I needed a change in my life. How many of you are ready for a financial change in your life? And I have to tell you something. I know that you're here because you're seeking that financial change. But being ready for a change is just not enough. You must be committed to a change. That's when the changes happen. How many of you are committed to a change, a financial change in your lives? I was committed also. Would you like to know how my change came about? You sure?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll tell you then. Came home from work one evening and turned on the TV to unwind, and this infomercial comes on. You guys see them? Infomercial comes on. It sounded like the guy was talking directly to me. He says, sounded like he said, Reggie, sit down. I got something for you. So I sat down and I listened and I learned things. And I learned that there was this seminar coming up, and I could not wait for that seminar to come because I knew that that was the answer to all my problems in my spare time. He says I can make more money in my spare time than I can make on a full-time job. Wow, that's exactly what I needed. Couldn't wait for that seminar to come along. The day of the seminar finally came along. You know, I got sick, couldn't go to work. So I went to the seminar instead. You guys are ready to hear me over there. So I went to that seminar, and I'm so glad I did. I sat there and I learned things about money that I'd never heard anywhere else before. How to make it and how to keep it, and more importantly, how to make my money work super hard for me instead of me having to work hard for it. How many of you would rather have your money working hard for you instead of you working hard for it? Would you rather have that? I'll show you how to do that this afternoon with vacant, distressed, abandoned properties. But I became a sponge for knowledge. I listened to everybody's tapes. We didn't have CDs in those days. We had tapes. I'm not talking 8 tracks, guys. I'm not I know what you're thinking. Yeah, he's so old. But I listened to tapes. I read books. I went to boot camps, and it worked out. The very first, and see, there's the difference. The stuff that I learned, I put into use. Most people weren't doing that. And here's what happened. The very first property that we invested in was 2 houses on a lot. I learned how to structure a deal so that once the dust settles, I could put money in my pocket instead of taking money out. We call that cash at the close. Has anyone ever felt that before? Cash at the close. Couple people. I see a smile on your face. I know how that felt to you. Cash at the close always feels fantastic. Now I teach my students how to get cash at the close, no problem. So we rented that out, and those 2 units out, and had a nice cash flow coming. Now, and I got to tell you though, the property that the first property, they were vacant. 2 houses on a lot, they were vacant. But I had not yet learned the power of a vacant, distressed property. I hadn't learned it yet. I just knew I made a lot of money and got cash at the close. Next property, I went to Pasadena, California. You all know Pasadena, the Rose Parade and all that. Found a 4-unit building over there, and that too was vacant. I was dumb as a pile of rocks because it hadn't dawned on me yet. I rented those properties out, and now I have a huge cash flow coming every single month, better than any other deal that I'd ever done. But I did not tie that to it being vacant just yet. I did later. And so now, had a nice cash flow coming. Now there seems to be a light at the end of the tunnel, and it's not a freight train, so I'm moving forward. Next property. This was 16 units. I found a really nice 16-unit building, and it only had just a couple little problems with it. It had had 13 vacancies. Little problem. Of the 5 that were occupied, 3 of them weren't even paying rent. Anybody here interested in a nice 16-unit building with effectively 14 vacancies and 3 evictions maybe? No? You know, whenever I ask that, a few seasoned investors put their hands up because they're savvy, they know. But there's so many people that don't want to put their hands up. You know why? Because people don't want problems. Here's a news flash. We're investors, real estate investors. The way we make our money is by solving sellers' problems. Isn't that right? Yeah. Solving sellers' problems. That's how we make our money. So let's examine this one. Now, once again, 13 vacancies, well, effectively 14 vacancies. Now I'm beginning to see the power of a vacant distressed property. Because here we have an opportunity. Jot this down. There's a little golden nugget for you. They come at you every now and then. As long as you have willing participants and the creative knowledge to put deals together, you do deals anytime you want. Willing participants and the creative knowledge to put deals together, do deals anytime you want. So let's examine. I had willing participants on this 16-unit building. I had an owner that had what we call an alligator on his hands. It's eating him alive. Every single month, he has to shell out a great big mortgage payment. But there's no income coming in. We had a broker who listed this property. He stood to make a 6% commission. He listed it for $500,000. After meeting him, I understood the word broker a lot better. All right, so anyway, I made him money. So he listed it for a 6% commission, $500,000. He's $30,000 worth of willingness, okay? That's who he is. Yours truly, I was willing. I knew I had willing participants. Now I've got to put together the creative knowledge to put this deal together. Would you like to know the creative knowledge that we put together to buy this building? Yes or no? Yes. You're a lively group. All right. I called a meeting between myself and the broker and the owner, and here's what came out of that meeting. I will go ahead and start working on this 16-unit building. I'll start sprucing it up on the outside to attract tenants coming in because they don't want to see an ugly building. I will start fixing up 1 unit at a time, get them rent, take that money and move it over to the next unit. I will even begin the process of evicting these tenants, these 3 tenants that are no longer paying rent. I'll start the eviction process. Here's what I need from you, the broker, you, the owner. I almost bit my tongue when I asked for it. I said, I want you guys to handle that mortgage payment for as long as it takes while I fix this building up. Once I get it fixed up and turned around, I will go ahead and take over the building at that time along with the loan against the property. Your headaches will be over. How many think they like that idea? How many think they did not like that idea? How many don't care? How many won't raise your hand no matter what I say? All right, here's what happened. Think about it. They don't have much of a choice. They had to go with this idea because consider this. There are 2 classes of buyer. One is a homeowner who's looking for a home for himself and his family. Is he going to buy a 16-unit building for his family in 1 unit, rent the other 15 out? No. No, thank you. The other is an investor that has cash. What's an investor with cash looking for? That too. But he's looking for something that has 3 letters in it, and the first letter is an R, and the last letter is an I, and there's an O in it. Get a hint? He's looking for a return on his investment. In order to get a return on that cash that he's about to invest, you got to have tenants and income. There's no tenants in this building. He's going to go down the street and around the corner to a building that does have tenants in it, and he's going to put his money in that. So these guys are going to be up a creek without a paddle. So they decided, based on that, they would go with my idea. They thought it was a great idea after I explained the alternatives. And so we decided that I will meet with them every 30 days. We'll come together and I'll give them an update and let them know where we are with this process. The 3rd month after we reached this agreement, I walked into that office building, sat down at that big shiny conference table with those big-time investors, little old me. You guys would have been so proud of me. I told them I no longer need your mortgage subsidy. I have successfully rented out 13 of those 16 units. I now have a cash flow going into my pocket after all the bills are paid. Hip Pocket National Bank. $3,000 a month coming every single month. What did I just create? Remember how much I was making at the phone company? I was making $3,000 a month. Didn't I just create financial independence? I did. And then I had these other 2 buildings that I purchased giving me more cash flow. Now, I remember when I was investing and I told my friends at the phone company, I was so excited because I saw my future. I was going to be a multi-millionaire. I was the only one that saw it. They didn't see it at all. And I told them, look, you guys need to follow me and do what I'm learning about real estate. You know what? As soon as I'm making more money than I'm making at the phone company, when the phone company gets in my way, I'm out of here. You got to be very careful what you ask for in life.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you might get it, and you might get it a whole lot sooner than you're expecting. Because that time did come. And now the phone company's in my way, and it only took a couple months. And now I have to convince my wife. I was married at the time. Thank you, guys. Life is good now. But I have to convince her.
Y'all on tape.
Well, she knows. So I remember having a conversation with her. I said, babe, listen, we've been investing in real estate now, and look at what we've done. And we've done it in just a couple of short months, you know. We've got this and this and this, and I'm making more money than I was making at my job. I need to quit my job. What do you think she said? No. I can't tell you what she said. This is a public place and I'm being recorded. So let's just say she didn't like the idea. But now I know that I've got to be creative with this because I'm going to be a real estate investor and I can't let anything stand in my way. So now I have to figure out the very best way to convince her that this is the thing that we need to do. And I know I only have one shot left. And so I took it. There was one night we went to bed, and the next morning we woke up, and by the time she got up out of bed, she had a smile on her face. You're ahead of me. Macho man. So I seized the moment while she was happy. Hey, babe, let's revisit this thing, you know? I've just been doing it a couple months now. We're making more money in my spare time now, just like the man said on the commercial, and need to quit the job, hon, just think about it. And she goes, well, sounds like yes to me. Sounds like yes. That was a yes. As far as I'm concerned, that was a yes. I couldn't wait. Well, we did agree on it. And the day came that I was to go to my job at the phone company and announce to them that I no longer want your job. And I'll never forget the day. It was a beautiful spring day. The sun was shining, the birds were singing, and so was I on my way to work. When I got there, I called a meeting between myself and my boss, fired my boss right on the spot. Told him, your services are no longer needed, man. I'm out of here. Bring the paperwork. They brought me the paperwork. I sat there with a steady hand. I signed my name. You should have seen my knees under the table. I was just shaking. I was so scared. But I've never done anything like that before. But I know that I gotta let them go, a phone company, because they're standing in my way of me making more money. 30 days later, well, I signed on the dotted line. Now 30 days later, I will no longer have that job. Been there 18 years, making $3,000 a month. Got that on one building. But now I gotta prove to myself this is not a fluke. This is real. And so I'm searching now for no more deals. I got now 4 weeks to go at the phone company. I'm searching and searching, can't find anything. Now I got 3 weeks to go. I'm searching even more now. I've got 2 weeks to go and I haven't found anything yet. And it's scary because everything that had any equity in it, homeowners were bidding it up and I couldn't get any profit in it. You investors know what I'm talking about. And so I was listening to this tape, cassette tape. And on the cassette tape, the man says, so let everybody you know that you invest in real estate. And so I did that. I was making $36,000 a year at the phone company. As a result of me doing that, my cousin Greg called me and says, hey, Reg, I hear through the grapevine you're investing in real estate. Come on over to my area. There's a property there. Maybe you can do something with it. And like you brokers, I shot over there like a bolt of lightning. I'll show you what I found in just a minute. But I went from making $36,000 a year to making over $42,000 a month. And what I'm sharing with you this afternoon, vacant, distressed, abandoned properties. We went for rentals, and that's what we ended up with, $42,000 a month. So my cousin Greg tells me to come over, and yeah, because the guy told me to let everybody I know that I'm investing in real estate. You guys need to do the same thing. Shout over there, and here's what I found. 417 South May Avenue. Oh, man. Yeah, this was a nice little property. You can see the lawn was overgrown. Some of it needed to be reseeded. All the shrubs were overgrown. Every window in the house was broken off. The door was hanging on one hinge. My kind of property. You know, I drive past those properties now and I start to salivate because I know I don't want to hear. So here's what we did. We fixed it up a little bit. It cost us $41,000. We sold it for $84,000. We made a profit of $43,000, and we did that in 2 months. I got to tell you about a mistake I made. I don't even know about a thing called comps or comparable sales. You guys know about it? I wish you'd told me. I left $41,000 on the table. Should have sold it for over $125,000. I didn't know about comps. I was brand new. But I did learn the value of a vacant, distressed, abandoned property. Because not only do we make super high profits, even if you make a huge mistake, they're easy to do because you have an owner who's highly, highly motivated to stop the bleeding of money going out and stop the pain, stop his wife from elbowing him in the side when he's trying to sleep. We ain't gonna sell that house, we ain't gonna sell that house. It's a tough thing to own a property, to know that there's no insurance on that property and you have equity in it. They want out. They want the pain to stop. And so this light bulb goes on over my head. And because I know that, man, I'm glad I wore my other suit. That would have been embarrassing. So a light bulb goes on over my head because I know now that we make our money buying distressed properties from motivated owners. These properties were highly distressed. You saw some pictures. And you'll see some more. The owner was highly motivated, take my word for that, but it lacked the one element that every other strategy that I ever tried to work in. It lacked the competition. There was no one else looking at these properties. They were all looking at foreclosures. They were trying to do defaults, and they'd show up on the courthouse steps for a trustee sale, but not a dime in their pocket, hoping that manna would fall from heaven. They were trying to get into REOs. They even tried the shadow market, and then there's the hidden market. They tried everything, but no one was doing anything with vacant, distressed, abandoned properties. And so that's why we quietly made a fortune with these types of properties, my kids also. And now for the last 14 years, I've been out teaching people all over the country and also into Canada and Mexico about these properties. And do you know what? There's still no competition. There's still no competition out there. Okay. I won't make that comment that I was about to make. You know, we had an economic downturn some time ago, and it left a lot of properties upside down. Upside down means that the value of the property is less than what's actually owed against the property. That's upside down. And so people come to me sometimes after a seminar, and they'll say, well, Reggie, I get it, this abandoned property thing. But a lot of properties are upside down. How you gonna make money with that? And I tell them, sit down. Let me tell you. One thing I want you guys to know, with these types of properties, they lend themselves so well to creativity. And so what you have to learn now are other creative ways to put deals together, because you have a motivated owner with a distressed property. He knows that no lender in his right mind is going to lend against that property. He also knows that the insurance has stopped, and he's sitting there vulnerable and naked with equity in his property that could go up in smoke at any moment. He wants out. And so some of the things that we do with upside down properties, you don't want to buy a property like that, first of all. That's an upside down property. That's not the kind of upside down we're talking about. People run from upside down properties. I don't see the profit, I'm out of here. Okay, what we want to do is to learn some creative techniques that we can use to monetize those upside down properties. And I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about. Here's one of my students, Chuck. Say hi to Chuck. Chuck's a good guy. Chuck's a good guy. Chuck does some of what I'm about to share with you. In some of the stronger markets, when the market was, our